Daniels, he's going to keep. He's going to walk into the end zone. Here comes one to the cup. Left-hand layup, good.
Kansas is the 2023 WNIT champions.
This is the Jayhawker Podcast, presented by the University of Kansas Health System.
We're back here for another edition of the Jayhawker Podcast. I am Greg Gurley along with Wayne Simeon. We are joined by Tim Myers. Going to be a little Kansas relay reboot coming back here to Lawrence, Kansas out at Rock Chalk Park. But welcome to the show. Jayhawker Podcast brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System. And you've been tasked to resurrect the Kansas Relays, 100th year. Talk a little bit about your role and everything Kansas Relays.
You know, as the director, I'm out there bringing it back, like you said. 2019 was the last time they had the relays and stuff. So COVID kind of put a cap on that stuff. And now I'm, been given the task to help bring it back to, I don't know if it ever can be brought back to its glory and stuff. It's not in the stadium anymore. Those years are different. But now I think we have a chance to start something completely new with the next 100 years and everything.
And you mentioned it, the stadium compared to Rock Chalk Park.
Right.
I mean, talk about that facility and how great it is. It's a gem for us to have here in our city.
It is incredible. I know people talk, that's probably one of the biggest questions I get, like, will it ever be the same, since it's not? And I thought, no, it's going to be a different meet, but this facility is purely for track and field. I mean, you talk to a lot of our coaches on staff, Coach Reynolds, who's been at Alabama and Arizona, a bunch of different places. He says, bar none, this is one of the best laid out facilities in the nation. So we give that opportunity not only to our athletes, but the high school athletes when they come back for the KU Relays.
And talk to us a little bit about just like the national reputation that the KU Relays has. Of course, it's well beloved here in the state, here in the Lawrence community, because everyone appreciates and loves all things Jayhawk. But this is something that people talk about and know about beyond the track community across the country.
Yeah, it started back in 1923 with Coach Outland, who was the football coach. He had been a part of the Penn Relays when he was coaching out east. So he decided that they should start up a relays here. So in 1923, they got the idea. They got a bunch of coaches together and invited a few teams out and started really, I think there were 12 to 20 events that started. We have 124 now. Oh, wow. Right? So it's built up a little bit, but that history, Kansas is enshrined not with basketball history like you two guys are, right? But with the track and field history. Wilt Chamberlain wasn't going to, it was one of the big things why he wanted to come to Kansas was because he could triple jump, high jump, and play basketball, right? And I hope you guys seen pictures of him running he ran the 400 in under 50 seconds. Oh, my God. And under 2 minutes in the 800 in basically Chuck Taylor's. We were talking about shoes earlier, and they're running in Chuck Taylor's.
And wasn't he a 7-foot high jumper,
And he was
too?
a 7-foot high jumper and a close to 40-plus foot triple jumper also. And stuff. So just that history of the Jim Ryan, the Billy Mills, those, you think of those sorts of people, Al Order in the discus. We have
these are icons
these
in the
are
track
icons,
world. Yeah, very much
just
like
in
Wilt
Kansas.
Chamberlain is in basketball, but
Exactly.
icons in the track world that got their start right here at the Kansas Relays.
At the Kansas Relays, Wes Santee. These are guys who were all at the 4-minute barrier when they were all fighting, at 4.00, and stuff, trying to get those, to make those, beat those barriers and things. So it's incredible to be a part of that history. And as my part, I just feel completely honored to be the director at the 100. I'm just in the right place at the right time, I feel, and stuff. So, but to be able to bring it back, and we're going to have over 150 alumni coming back. So Billy Mills is coming back, Jim Ryan's coming back, Cliff Wiley's coming back. We're going to have the Sharon Lokiti's coming back. So we're having every one of these, not just Kansas icons, but Olympic, New York Marathon city winners, icons that are going to be coming back for this, be a part of it.
It's got to be cool for you, a guy that's been around this area for a long time coach at Baker and a lot of other stops in this region. But how cool is it that you're in charge of such an iconic event?
Man, I get kind of emotional. I'm a born and raised Lawrence kid. Right. So I've probably been to 40 plus relays, to be honest with you, and I could probably tell you a little bit about each one of them that I went to and stuff. But to be able to have this position and be able to help bring it back to a city that I grew up in, that I graduated from high school in, and that I get to now help bring this iconic relays back is just it's a dream come true. I don't know if I could ask for a better ending, and if this is the end of my career, I'm fine with that, because I got to come home and be a part of something that's truly special, not just to me, but just to Lawrence and to Kansas and to track and field.
So you mentioned some of the key constituents that have passed through here: Olympians, world champions, marathon champions, and then of course our own KU student athletes. But there's also another important group of people that get exposed to this, and it's our high school athletes who are going to come and be able to compete here amongst some of those professionals and legends. So talk about how important that is to weave and blend in the high school aspect of it, because actually my first exposure to any KU athletic event was coming to the Kansas relays to watch my sister throw the shot put. Yeah, it wasn't a football game, wasn't a basketball game. My very first time on the KU campus for a sporting event was at the relays, because it was open to high school competitors as well. And so tell us a little bit about the importance of having the high school competitors here, and how that adds to the relays environment.
And just not for athletics, Wayne, you make a great point, but for just students here at Kansas. I bet you could go anywhere on this campus and you talk to 5 people and someone's probably been a part of the Kansas relays.
Right? Regular students, right? These aren't student athletes.
Not student athletes, people that, that's where their first exposure was to the Kansas relays and stuff. So what we have done, we've continued to do what we want to do is we'll have a collegiate race and then a high school race. So if you're doing the 400 in the collegiate race and the 400 in the high school races right after it. So you can see and compare. They can see each other compete, which is really fun, because, I think this is probably one of the best high school classes that we're going to bring in this year for competition.
And how many teams? How many teams do we expect in high school and college?
So I have over 2,000 entries right now. So you're looking at 300 plus teams that will be represented. Not full teams, because sometimes we'll just have one high jumper or 4x4, 4x8, that sort of thing. But actual different teams are probably close to 300 different teams that are going to be a part of the whole thing and stuff. To see that sort of thing out here is really neat, because I've been to a Notre Dame football game. I walked out and watched that and oh my gosh, here I am. When you walk through Rock Chalk Park and then you come up on that corner, and then you walk and you see it's nothing but green. The track's beautiful. It's been, freshly striped and everything and stuff too. You get that feeling of wow, this is going to be a great experience.
So think about the economic impact for our city as well. You say 300 teams. Is that high school and college, or so how many athletes is that?
So we'll probably be close to 3,000 athletes total.
Oh wow.
Here, yep, and everything.
Parents and spectators, everybody going to eat.
Cousins,
so as far as again with the economic impact, it's a great event, but a lot of people are going to come to our city next weekend to we'll be able to show off, and it's not just track. We got softball, soccer, and tennis all out there. So it's an impressive facility.
Yeah, and they'll be out there for 3 days, and a football game brings them for 1 day, and I'm not saying anything against them, but we bring them out here for 3 days. They're in a hotel for 3 days. They're going to Walmart for 3 days. They're eating. They're buying gas. They're all doing stuff. That's going to help out Lawrence. And that's my big thing. And the AD, Travis Goff's how can we help this community too and stuff. So, I have to mention, our sponsors, RCB Bank and Adidas, because if it wasn't for those guys, we wouldn't have half the things we have out there for the spectators and the athletes and the people that are coming in town. We got Chamber of Commerce out there. We have Explore Lawrence. We're going to have college admissions. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have all types of things. So people will not have to leave that facility if they don't want to for the next 3 days, besides go home and sleep.
Yeah, so you'd mentioned the spectators. Help the average fan understand what's the best way to come about and watch and enjoy the relays, because people aren't used to maybe a 3-day event.
Right.
People aren't used to having, high school, college kind of blended. When are some of the marquee moments in terms of when people should make sure that they're there,
Right,
and if they
right.
don't want to miss
Right.
some of the most exciting action there for the weekend.
And that's the great thing about track and field. You could be just a field guy, or you could be just a track person, or you could, I just want to support. I don't want to see the steeplechase because I want to see people jump in the water, right?
The steeplechase would not have been Greg and I's event of choice by any stretch of the imagination. Greg, how about that? If you were to engage in track and field, what do you think would be your premier event?
In my current body or my high school and college body, I could run, I could jump. Current body, it might be more in the competitive eating.
Food trucks. I'll meet you by the food trucks.
There we go.
Funnel-
Something for
Funnel
everybody.
cakes, fried Snickers,
Well,
stuff
Big's
like
barbecue
that.
out there, right? And stuff, so.
But yeah, I don't know. I never was a track guy, but again, could run. What would yours have been?
I enjoy the throwing events. Like I said, my
Shot
sister,
put, discus, yeah.
through shot and discus, and then with some of the student athletes that have come through here, I've gotten a chance to gravitate more towards the throwing. Big Doug Reynolds,
Oh,
as you
my
say,
gosh,
is one
yeah.
of the best
Best discus
throws coaches in the country. And he had great Scott Reynolds, who was an Olympian, was on campus while I was here, and so of course he was in his heyday. And so I would say I'd probably be connected with the throws at some
Yeah.
capacity.
This is a dumb guy here. Do they still do the hammer throw?
They still do the hammer throw.
Ooh, I'd come watch that.
It's amazing how fast they can spin around and still not get sick, right? And still release the implement out
So
close
for-
to 70 meters.
If you don't know anything about track, come out and watch the hammer throw.
The hammer throw is great.
How can people watching and listening get involved? Where do they buy tickets? How
Right,
does it
so
work?
just go on our website, the track and field website. There's an icon up there that says KU Relays. You click on that, and it's our hub. It has for tickets. It has if you want to volunteer. Some people like to come out and watch a few things and volunteer for a bit. We'll get you a T-shirt and get you a meal, and then
Come on,
everything
grab a
else.
rake and help with in the sand right
Absolutely.
there.
Schedules up there, everything. So, and you're asking probably about the marquee events. Well, everyone loves the 4x4, right? And we plan on, because all 4x4s and 4x1s get into the meet. Doesn't matter where you're from. So we could have 20 4x4s and we could have 60 4x4s, and then they all battle out for top 9 spots and stuff. So it is getting after it. It's fun to watch them get out there and stuff.
So one of the anchors of the relays is our very own program, which we've got some incredible athletes. But let's start with an incredible coach that we have. Obviously, Coach Bill Self gets a ton of credit for what he's
Right.
been able to do here, and Lance Leipold and what he's been able to flip. Coach Brandon Snyder coming off a WNIT championship. But the longest tenured coach here is our very own Stanley Redwine,
Right.
who's coached at the World Championship level, who's coached at the Olympic level, and who's brought a national championship here to the University of Kansas. And so brag a little bit about Coach Stanley Redwine and what an anchor or pillar he is to Kansas track and field.
He's, to me, 28 years of coaching before I came over and did this, took over this position. He has always been an icon to me. So, when I interviewed for this position, I was almost a little scared of him, because he's just so high. You say all those things, and it's not because he's a mean or anything like that. He's the greatest. I love his laugh. You hear his laugh every day. He was an incredible 800-meter runner for himself at Arkansas, at Olympic trials, right, and everything stuff. He's legit. But he is an incredible motivator, incredible speaker. He gets up. I mean, they got at Oregon. They have like a big old like, what do you call them? Like on the pillars,
Like a tribute or
like
something?
a tribute
Yeah.
to him out there at Oregon. It's a
At another school.
At Tracktown, USA,
Right.
right? And so this guy is out there, but he cares so much for his athletes. He wants them to do good, right, and stuff. So he puts them in that position and to help them succeed, and not just at the track, but in the classroom too, which really, really impresses me a lot. He wants that success all the way around and everything. But being a part of his, being on his staff and part of his program has done nothing but elevate me and make me want to be better every day myself.
Well, I think another group to thank, I would imagine, is our administration.
Yes.
To create a position to bring the Kansas relays back. And there was probably some time in there that wasn't going to happen. And without a lot of the people upstairs. So talk a little bit about the process of you getting this job and how vital they are in making this happen.
Right. So when I was interviewing for the job, they said this is about a 12 to 18 month process to put on a relays. And they told me I had 6 months. So when they told that to me, I didn't even cross my mind. I said, I want it. I want to take it. The only reason one of the main reasons I did that was because of the people we have supporting us. We have a Travis Goff. We have a Paul Pierce. We have a Therese Vanderputten. We have those to Bragg Noctegal. We got those people that are there to support us that, you know, I don't know what I don't know right now about putting on this relays and everything and stuff, but all I have to do is ask. And so, and Travis has been one of the biggest supporters of this. I mean, we had a meeting. He said, this is enshrined in Kansas history, just as much as basketball and football and all the other sports. The relays is here, and he goes, and it's going to stay here. So when he gave me that I felt really good about accepting the position and wanting to be part of this program. Yeah.
Well, everyone, get to the Kansas Relays. Great event, history, the athletes that you mentioned, the former athletes that are going to be back to grace the Kansas Relays with their presence. I mean, you mentioned some of them. Mention them again. Some of the names that'll come back.
So Jim Ryan, we have Billy Mills, we have Sharon Lokiti, we have Bryce Hoppel, we have Michael Stigler, Scott Russell, who you mentioned. You know, we're talking all Olympians here and stuff. Cliff Wiley,
our very own Andrew Gabel Norris.
Andrew Gabel Norris. Tom Rupp. I don't know if you know who Tom Rupp is, but he was on he's one of the 2 living members from the 1953 cross-country national championship team here. He lives in Lawrence, and he's coming out. He's coming out. He's incredible. I've met him. He's an incredible man and stuff. So.
Well, I know Wayne and I appreciate what you do and are about to do here coming up next week with the Kansas Relays. Get out and check them out. Buy tickets, volunteer, just show up, support it. This is going to, like you said, it's going to go on. This isn't a 1-year deal. This isn't a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
This is a 100-year deal that we're going to hopefully continue for another 100 years. And this guy right here is the key to that, along with a lot of others. So I appreciate your time.
I asked for a 100-year contract, but
you did.
Yeah, so hopefully next year they'll give it to me.
Well, we'll start with knocking this out of the park. We'll start with this.
I'm ready. And again, thanks to our sponsors, RCB and Adidas, for putting that out there to make this possible for us too.
Well, really appreciate your time. Looking forward to the Kansas Relays. And this is the Jay Hocker Podcast, brought to you by the Hilton President Hotel, downtown Kansas City. Stay and play packages. Call Philip Stranad. Go down for a concert, a game, anything. Call Phil. Stay at the Hilton President Hotel, Wayne and I's favorite hotel, the home of the Kansas basketball team during the Big 12 tournament. So Hilton President Hotel, downtown Kansas City. Jay Hocker Podcast brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System. Get out to the Kansas Relays. Rock chalk.
Rock chalk.
I had this patient. His cancer treatment had him in the hospital for a while. One day, he was telling me about his grandson and how a big night was coming up for him. So we arranged to make it a big night for my patient too. I sometimes wonder if I'm doing all I can. Then I help make a moment like this possible, and I know I am.